Last week, we told you about how Joe the plumber, actually Samuel Wurzelbacher, the unlicensed plumber, wrote this letter after the UCSB drive-by shooting tragedy, where he told the parents of the victims of that shooting that their dead kids don't trump his constitutional rights to own a gun. He claims that he wrote that letter the day before Memorial Day to stand up for veterans, and then he further used veterans to inflict pain upon the parents of the UCSB shooting victims. He said, why are the lives of the brave Americans that we're supposed to be honoring on Memorial Day less important than the victims of Elliot Rodger? Because if the solution to this horrible incident is surrendering to the devious schemes of oppression, it nullifies the service of all veterans. To infringe on our rights to bear arms would make a mockery of our fallen heroes who died defending our way of life. So what he's kind of saying is that if we prevent everybody from having unlimited guns all the time in order to prevent shootings, that apparently, Lewis, is an insult to those who served and died. Okay, the logic doesn't really make sense, but there's more to it, so let's continue. He also seems to believe that the guns themselves can be used for killing politicians. He went on this following rant. Left-leaning politicians and their lapdogs in the mainstream media want to use this crisis, talking about the UCSB crisis, to further chip away at our rights. They want to use these deaths to gain more power and more control. They only care about the victims so long as they serve a purpose. And then he said that those guns are for shooting politicians. Guns are mostly for hunting down politicians who would actively seek to take your freedoms and liberty away from you. Google Hitler, Mao, Kim Jong-il, Castro, Stalin, just for starters. Okay. The fact that there are people like Joe the plumber out there who advocate the usage of guns to kill elected officials is actually part of the reason we need stricter gun safety laws. Joe the plumber, in this unhinged rant about his rights, dead kids, and shooting politicians, is actually proving, Lewis, why we need stricter gun safety laws in this country, because people like him are around there.
Yeah, I really hope nobody's listening to this guy. I'm just starting to think that this is someone who loves the sound of his own voice and is just trying to get attention.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of people seem to like him.
Well, I don't understand why we haven't seen him completely denounced at this point, right? I mean, where are the Republicans who are going to say, yeah, we don't stand by anything he says. We actually want him to no longer speak on any issues. He has absolutely no affiliation with any of us. What he says is completely deplorable. And further, using military veterans, right? Supposedly the American right supports our troops. They value our troops' service, et cetera, ad nauseum, which we hear them say, but it doesn't really seem like they actually act on much of this. And now he says our armed forces fight for our freedoms, but they fight so that we don't lose our guns because we're trying to prevent insane shooting sprees from happening. I mean, it's just such twisted logic. And this guy, like Lewis said, is still a hero to many conservatives. And I'm just waiting, Lewis, for someone to denounce him on the right and say, he's out. He's out of our umbrella. We're the big tent party, supposedly. It's not quite big enough for Joe the plumber.
That would be nice. But, right, I'm sick of him speaking for vets. I'm sick of all sorts of people who aren't veterans speaking for them. Perhaps we should just hear from the veterans and get rid of guys like Sam Wurzelbacher.
Samuel Joe the plumber Wurzelbacher, the non-plumber who lied about the business he was going to buy. Yeah.